Hello all, Alex here with Wisconsin Computer Club, once again back in the shop, and tonight I've got something kind of cool to show you here for our lead up to EverCon coming up on March 1st. It's going to be a very cool show, and it's something you've seen but you haven't seen. So behind me here on the 82 Samsung, we have Sequest, one of my favorite Atari games, but curiously my Atari 2600 is right here. How am I playing on this thing? Now, granted, you could run it through emulation, of course, or there's a few aftermarket solutions out there, Retron, Hyperkin stuff, they've got a few of those, but I'm actually using a period device, if you can believe it. So, we have this interesting little thing. Let's see if I can move it without knocking the TV off. Like this curious little wedge of plastic is the Coleco Gemini. I'm going to turn it off here so I can pick it up. The Gemini is a one-to-one, completely identical system to the Atari 2600 manufactured by Coleco. And the history of this is fascinating to me, as it is a rare story in which a lawsuit begets something new and kind of cool. So, I'll plug this guy back in, and we will get into the meat of this bizarre little tale. So, put our cart in the right direction, and back up we go. So, in 1982, Coleco was fighting for video game market dominance. The three big players at this point in time, you had Atari at the top, unquestionable. Mattel and the Intellivision were coming up behind them. They had pretty good systems, at least in terms of power. You had the Magnavox Odyssey 2, which existed and kind of existed, and then Coleco hit the scene. Now, Coleco was an absolute powerhouse in the sense that they had a very powerful console. They had some very, very good games. They had the exclusive license to sell Nintendo games, and had Coleco stayed in the video game market, it's entirely possible we would have gotten the Coleco Entertainment System instead of the NES. But they ultimately backed out at the end of the video game crash, and all that's history. But Coleco was an enterprising little group of guys. This big wedge of black plastic with their big chunky controllers here has this little port in the front for adding expansion modules. Well, in 1982 they rolled out expansion module number 1. And this little box plugs into the front there. And inside of this are all the off-the-shelf components for the Atari 2600, including a Coleco re-engineering of all their bespoke technology. So you would take your Atari carts and plug them in. You plug your Atari sticks into the front, and lo and behold, your ColecoVision system is now playing Atari games with no issues. Atari, of course, was completely cool with this, and they were like, I'm so glad Coleco is helping spread gaming love to more and more people. No, I'm kidding. They absolutely sued the hell out of them. Took them to court immediately, wanted to sue them for just a pile of money, like so much pile you could swim in it like Scrooge McDuck, and ultimately they settled out of court. It's argued that maybe because Coleco could have argued to the Supreme Court that essentially wasted a whole bunch of time and money saying, well, because it's transformative, we can somehow get away with it. And everybody involved just wanted to go back to making money. So Coleco, of course, now having paid out an untold sum of money, also had to buy a patent license agreement with Atari. So they now could legally sell the expanders that were already on the market, as well as what were already manufactured, and keep selling them as they went forward. So with this new access to Atari's, secret patented technology they'd already cracked, they thought, how can we make some more money with this and recoup some of our losses? And thus the Gemini came to be, a blatant and completely obvious ripoff of the Atari 2600. Everything that the Atari 2600 can do, this can do as well. It's in a smaller form factor, it's a little bit lighter, it's cost reduced, it is cut down as bare bones as can physically be made possible. Because of course Coleco is just looking to cash grab at this point. There's nothing forward thinking about this. There is nothing innovative about this whatsoever. It is simply, how can we turn one circuit board with all these chips on it into a system that can then make us some money? And this was the answer, this little hollow, incredibly lightweight little machine. And it's interesting because usually when a company like a Nintendo or a Sony or an Apple or somebody sues somebody completely into the ground or threatens to do so, even if they settle out of court, usually that's the end of it. Usually they sell whatever they've got kind of in inventory or clear it all out, and that's the end of it. Nobody wants to further poke the bear. It's pretty rare when you have a company like Coleco that was like, yeah, we got kicked in court, but we can make this other thing too, and something new came out of it. which is kind of enterprising of them, even if it is kind of dubiously legal or moral. But that was a common trait of software and hardware engineering in the 80s. So this curious little machine is going to be at EverCon, assuming all goes to plan, and you'll be able to play Atari 2600 games on it just like you would on an Atari 2600, because it is identical, except for the fact it looks kind of different. So that is that pretty much. Thank you all so very much for watching. I think everything here is still running. It is. And we hope to see you at EverCon again. It's on March 1st. Get your badges if you haven't already. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The prices are only going to go up. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you all there and have a good old time. Enjoy the stream. Have a good night.